Hello, and welcome to another Crafty Witches tutorial video. Today, we are going to walk through using the free cutting files and how to line them up in Canvas Workspace, the computer-based software for your Brother scan and cut machine. So grab a cuppa, get comfy, and use that pause button as much as you like. Using any electronic cutting machine relies on the cutting files and the cutting matter being in the exact same place. Even with the advent of AI, we are a long way off from these machines being able to do this for us. There are more than one variable that is going to affect the process of print to cut. Here, let me show you. When we click print, the printer will take the paper into its rollers. If the paper has not been loaded straight, or the guide sliders aren't set correctly, the printing media may not print at the correct angle. Also, if your printer has not been maintained or is potentially nearing the end of its useful life, it is also possible for the print head to be misaligned, thus again causing an angled print. That brings us to the human element, lining the printed matter to the scan and cut mat. We'll tackle that on the next screen. The next potential pitfall is ensuring the scan and cut loads the mat straight. Again, this can be assisted by ensuring proper cleaning of the machine, ensuring any paper cuttings, dust or other detritus has been removed before use. Make sure both sides of your mat slips under each of the roller's wheels at the same time when you hit the load button. If the mat doesn't, then it will be pulled into the machine at an angle and may lead to damage to the edges and corners of the mat. As a natural consequence of these precautions, your printed matter will be loaded to the machine as straight as is possible. Perhaps we now understand how critical these mat edges are, as they need to be as perfect condition as possible to ensure they enter the rollers evenly and together. Okay, so as promised, a couple of tips regarding mounting your printed matter to the cutting mat. The inner edge of the thick black outside border and the grid on the mat allow you to line up the edge of the printer sheet directly on the mat, thus allowing to negate at least one variable. However, if you can see there is a definite misalignment on the print, you can adjust accordingly. As you may be able to see here, the right-hand side of the printer sheet is mounted higher than the left. This will result in an uneven scan, and therefore may make life a little harder for yourself on the next steps. It is always advisable to double-check before loading the mat to the machine. Now we are happy to continue. Load the mat and hit the scan button on the scan and cut screen. Then, click on the next screen arrow on the right. And next, transfer to Canvas. Ensure you are connected to your home Wi-Fi network. Now, click Start. The transfer progression will automatically show on the following screen. On completion, just click OK. Open Canvas Workspace on your PC. Click File. And from the resulting drop-down menu, select Import from your cutting machine. And lastly, Scanned Image. Now we need to insert the cutting files themselves off of our PC. Again, click File. This time, click Import from your computer. When the File Explorer window opens, find and then click on the drive and/or folder where you have saved your cutting files to. Identify the cutting file that matches your printed page. Then click on the Open button at the foot of the window. Remember, it is likely that your default folder arrangement here will probably be on List View. By clicking on the Change Folder Previews button, you can select a view by thumbnails as seen here. This helps identifying which design you need. As you can see here, the cutting file is significantly out of place to the scan from our machine. This is why most professional companies don't supply cutting files to cut around printed artwork unless there is a significant bleed around their print to allow for customer adjustment. Even then, it is highly likely you will need to adjust them into position as well. Right, so this is where you may want to watch the video. Then watch it again as you actually adjust your own cutting files. So we'll take this step by step. First of all, if we get lucky, we will try to move the entire page of cutting files to match directly over the image. Click on the Edit button and then select all. This will highlight all the elements on the screen. The problem is, this also highlights the scanned image too. So, we need to deselect the scan. Click on the Layers button. Now, hold the Ctrl or CTRL key down whilst clicking on the image. As you can see here, the image background had turned white instead of blue, which means it has successfully been deselected. A quick word of warning. When you move all the items, that's fine, but if you want to move just one of the items, be cautious. Why, I hear you ask. When you select just one item, like the main outline here for the box shape, that is exactly what you select. That means if you move that specific shape on its own, the cutting lines that accompany it stay where they are. Just keep that in mind to keep an eye on the board as you change and select items. Drag all the shapes to a point on your image to see if they line up. If you are in luck, everything will line up exactly at this point, and then you are off to cut. Or, as you can see here, there is adjustment required. We need to remember that the printed elements were never designed with cutting files in mind. So, the possibility is that one collection may be slightly different in dimension than the next. For this reason, these free cutting files are supplied ungrouped, so you, the customer and crafter, can adjust and adapt them to fit as you see fit. This adjustment process is much easier when you can actually see what you are doing, to enable you to get the cutting file as close to the edge as possible. On the top toolbar is the Zoom percentage button. Play around with this and get the screen as close to, or as far from the subject as you need. You can zoom in incredibly closely with this software, allowing you to get as accurate as possible. In fact, the software allows up to 1000%. That is 10 times the original magnification. Zooming in at this level will make the printed edge look blurry, but this means that the very small adjustments errors you make to your cutting file at this magnification will be so small they won't be picked up by the naked eye. Use the small squares, or handles, around your cutting file to pull or push the shape of the file to fit, remembering, as we discussed earlier, that when you move the outer shape, that won't necessarily move the small cuts in the center. If you have all the cuts associated with that specific shape selected in the Layers window on the right, the adjustments made will apply to all of them. There are 8 of these handles around the shape, one on each corner, which can move the respective horizontal and vertical vector together, and one of each of the 4 vectors, 2 horizontal, 2 vertical, which control each vector individually. If this is your first time using Canvas, do play around with this. It's going to be your best friend going forward. You are going to make mistakes, or miscalculate, or move something without ensuring its other associated cut lines have been attached. Don't worry, you can go to the top of the screen and click the Undo button. Or, if you have made a complete mess of things, it's fine. Nothing has been deleted, broken, or overwritten. Simply click File, then New, then Don't Save, and start the importing process over. Now you are happy that your cutting file has adjusted correctly. It's time to cut it out. However, first a little word of warning. Your scan and cut will enter power saver mode if left unattended. If the screen goes blank and the power light is blinking, you know this is the case. That on its own is fine, as long as you press the power button to wake it back up before it goes into auto shutdown mode. If you do not do this before the machine goes into auto shutdown, the cutting mat will be expelled. Then, you will have to start the process of scanning and possibly having to readjust the position of your cutting files again. Now we are set to send the file back to our scan and cut. Click on File. Then, Export Transfer FCM file. And from the resulting pop-up window, transfer FCM via the internet. Back on our cutting machine now, click the Retrieve Data button. You should not need to rescan the image, as the file has been matched to the original mat position. Only if you remove the mat, or allow the machine to go into auto shutdown mode, will you need to rescan. Even if you do, you may be able to realign the files on the scan and cut screen without the need for canvas. It's been a journey, but we have done it. All we need do now is assemble. And here we are completed, a box ready to put gifts or treats in. The design is from the Louise Nisbet Christmas Collection Volume 1, available to download from the Crafty Witches website. You may wish to print one of the solid or patterned sheets on the back of your card, just so the inside looks finished. Just one final thing. Now you have the cutting file, you may wish to create additional mats and layers for your embellishments for your other projects like this. All you need to do after you have cut out the original artwork is go back to the relevant cutting file still on your PC and click on the Edit tab. Then, go to the bottom of the page and select the Offset button. You will be able to create an offset of 1 mm or more to enhance or border the piece. You can find more tutorials, how-tos, walkthrough guides and inspiration, as well as a whole library of information at our information and inspiration platform. We are thecraftywitches.co.uk, or follow us on our Facebook page and join our community, the Coven of Crafty Witches, creative friends. Thank you for watching. Please join us again and let's create magic together.